Hi guys, good morning. This is Dan. Welcome to Engelgeist. For those of you that are new, welcome. For those of you that are returning, welcome back. For those of you that support me on Patreon, thank you so very much for your subscriptions. I greatly appreciate it. For those of you that are new, please check out the drop-down menu in the daily videos. In there is all of my contact information and how to support the channel. If you're interested in a private reading, that information is in there too. Links to my Facebook business page where you can message me if you have a question. All of that is there, and just some things I want you to keep in mind when utilizing my videos. So please check that out. Please hit the thumbs up button if you liked the video, if you enjoyed the content. That helps me out greatly. Feel free to share the video out with friends or on your Facebook or social medias. That also helps the channel. And leave any questions or comments. I do read them all. I will like them after I've read them, and if they require an answer, I certainly will do so. And this is the daily forecast. It is broad spectrum. It's a daily thing that I do every day for the collective. So it's for all signs. It is a broad spectrum reading. So it's kind of take what you need and leave the rest. If it applies, great. Utilize it to the best of your ability. If it doesn't make sense or it doesn't seem to fit, that's okay. It doesn't mean anything's wrong. You just might be working on something different than, say, the greater collective. But it's basically like your spiritual weather report. So let's get into this and see what the cards have to say to us today. I will reference back to Sunday's reading, which aired yesterday, or actually this morning when I'm taping this video, but it played on Sunday morning, and it has the underpinning energy of the week. It gives us a little insight into the week to come, and then I add those cards in as I'm doing the dailies throughout the week. So you can always reference that or watch it if you haven't seen it. It shows up in the lower left-hand corner at the end of each video during the week. So you can tap that link and watch it and go back and re-reference it. All right, so let's see what we have for, and today is for, sorry guys. Today is for Monday, the 21st of June, but it's not solely set for that date. You can utilize the video whenever you're seeing it. If it's showing up on a day random, it's probably intended for you, or the message is applicable or can be utilized by you. So don't get caught up in the date as much as pay more attention to the message than the date it was created for. Okay, so we have the Chariot. Big major arcana energy. Card number 7, which is about conscious choices to me. This is Archangel Metatron, who's like one of the most powerful archangels in the hierarchy. He's kind of the overseer of all of the archangels and, all of the factions of angels, the seraphim, the cherubim, all of them. He's like sort of the overseer or the head boss. Anyways, determination and self-control, career advancement, acknowledgement of success by others. Interesting that this is here because we had that friend stone from yesterday, and we also saw the 6 of Wands, which is to me like Chariot light, and that was on, I think it was Friday or Saturday of last week. So there is some sort of acknowledgement going on. I do feel like there is, when I was thinking about the friend stone as the grounding stone this week, I think there might be an emphasis on our relationships and how we're perceived this week. And I think that that's going to be a very good and beneficial thing. It may require some changes. It might require us to sort of step up into that position or into that role within our relationships. We may have to, we may have to change some things within our relationships so that we are better received, perceived, appreciated, that sort of a thing. That's kind of the vibe that I'm getting from the Sunday cards too, because we had that Tower in the midweek. Right now we have the Knight of Wands in the beginning of this week underneath this Chariot. To me, the Knight of Wands would indicate sort of love, passion, definitely an ability to sort of get in there and want to get things done for the right reasons, right? He tends to be a bit impulsive, but not necessarily in a bad way, right? It's sort of, to me, the Knight of Wands is kind of like he'll jump in there without any worry or regret, right? And so we want to take that and couple that with this Chariot energy. Chariot to me is very fast moving. It's kind of like that unstoppable, moving forward, getting things done. This card here says career advancement, which is great. The Chariot's associated with the sign of Cancer, which is very nurturing and can be very emotional, but it can also be very loving and kind. And Metatron being such a powerful archangel, there's a lot of power behind this card. The seven to me is about making that conscious choice to sort of affect the change or to take the steps towards what it is that we do want. That would be that Knight of Wands energy, to jump in there, roll up our sleeves, and get things done, right? There should be no fear, worry, trepidation in our actions today. I mean, especially with the Chariot buffered by the Knight of Wands. It should be about what is it that we want, and then going after that in a way that is kind, nurturing to ourselves and to those around us, but also very direct, right? Like, to me, those two energies, the Knight of Wands and the Chariot, would definitely have a directness to them, a purpose, right? Finding our purpose today of where we want to be or how we want things to be, and moving towards that with without any hesitation would be kind of key today, right? They're both sort of to me unstoppable forces in a way, and so I say utilize them and make your move. We see these horses here, and also in the Knight of Wands there's a horse there, and horses are a symbol of power, right? So making powerful sort of conscious moves or choices around the steps that we take in the relationships that we have, or in our, say, maybe, you know, as this Chariot card says, advancements in work or career. Like, if we have something that we want to change at work that affects our relationships there in a positive way, mind you, but it may require us to sort of take an inventory, do some spring cleaning, and I mean that metaphorically, but there may be an opportunity here for us to revisit certain relationships. I certainly thought that that was the kind of the gist of the Sunday reading. So this might be the beginnings of that, like setting out on the road with determination, with purpose to make that happen. Doing so with like sort of a clean heart and a passion or a desire that is strong within us, and a clarity with which to take action on. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. So think about that today. It should be a good day for doing that. Now, interesting. We have card number 25, which is also a 7, and the card is Deceit. I'm not really feeling this guy, to be honest. What's going on here? It makes me wonder where in our relationships have either we've been deceived or are we deceiving ourselves? So, I mean, this guy feels a little nefarious to me, like I don't really like him, but with the Chariot and the Knight of Wands to me underneath the Chariot, I feel like we're in a position where we may not even see him or notice him. I don't feel as though he has a lot of effect on us, if that makes sense. But I do want to say this, I feel like he might be hovering in the background, or the memory of him might be hovering in the background. So what I mean by that is, and I'm going to just throw this out there because I feel like this is about relationships that we hold, and that friend stone that's going to be sort of our grounding stone throughout the week makes me think of relationships outside of ourselves, or even the relationship to ourselves. But ultimately, is there somewhere where there was a relationship that mattered to us, where we were deceived in some way, shape, or form, that further affects how we move forward into the world? Are there sort of preconceived notions or ideas that we have about others, or trusting others that sort of remain after a previous kind of deceit? And I feel like the 7 in the Chariot and the 7 in the Deceit card are asking us to kind of consciously look at this stuff. We may not be mending an actual current relationship, guys. We could be mending some of our thoughts and our feelings around relationship, and I don't want to say relationships, how am I going to put this? Like, we could be mending some of our thoughts and our feelings around relationships that haven't necessarily worked out in our favor, where we have been wronged. And do we allow those wrongs to sort of temper or affect our relationships moving into the future, right? There's a lot of times where we'll say, oh yeah, I dealt with that thing, or I took care of that, and what we did really was we sort of pushed it aside, or we didn't know the answer to it, so we just didn't deal with it. And the confusion of that, or the maybe the sadness around that still might linger, that we don't necessarily sit in because it's not productive for us to do so, may still be like sort of hovering in the background. Does that make sense? And I kind of feel like this guy is doing that very thing, right? The way that he's behind the curtain. Like, so like what I want to say is I don't think that he necessarily has well, I don't want to say he doesn't have an effect, because he's showing up in the cards today, which says to me that whatever this relationship may have been in the past for any of us, and for each one of you, it's going to be a different relationship. Wherever that deception may have been, whether it was us to ourselves or another to us, or we deceive somebody else, the memory of that is still lingering somewhere in the background, in behind the curtains of our mind, right? And so I think that we need to become aware of that and start to work on that, start to move away from that. That would be the action of the Chariot. That would be the action of the Knight of Wands, getting in there and getting it done. So be mindful of that today. I'm not telling anybody to, I just want you to understand, for those of you that watch me, I'm not telling anybody to go and mend a relationship where you have been deceived. Because I don't get the feeling of that. I feel like this guy is way in the background, like maybe in the past. Or if the history of the past is continuing to deceive us, the memories of the past. Does that make sense? If that is continuing to sort of get in our way of having maybe productive relationships, friendships, or being appreciated, we need to understand that that's sort of a limitation that we're placing upon ourselves. Okay, interesting. So here is the grounding stone for today. The word is honor. So when you honor something, you see it for what it is, and you sort of validate it, appreciate it, and accept it. And when I look at this deceit card, I kind of feel like, is there something that we need to be aware of, or conscious of, or revisit? Not necessarily with the other person, but within ourselves, so that we can honor whatever that connection was, understand it better, and release it. Does that make sense? And in the release of it, we actually do ourselves and that other party an honor by freeing ourselves so that we can move forward, so that we're no longer tempering our experience in the now by that with which we've experienced in the past. And that's not to say not to forget, but we also don't want to believe that everything that we experience will be a repeat of the past, because that's not necessarily honoring the present moment either, and what the universe kind of gives us, right? So if we're, and I'm just using this as an example, but if we're afraid of other partners because we've been wronged by a partner, or we're afraid of letting people in because we've been hurt by friends in the past, are we really honoring the life experience that we've been given and the gifts that are given to us by the universe through the acts of other people, or by not being open to it? It's just something to think about. That's kind of the feeling that I'm getting for today's message. And I think that Tower card in the midweek asks us to disrupt this and to create the change that we need, so that we can have a newfound sort of maybe appreciation and connection to not only ourselves, but also to others in the process. That is your forecast for the day. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please hit the thumbs up button. Leave any questions or comments in the comments section, and I will see you guys tomorrow. We'll see how this builds. Take care and have a lovely day. Bye-bye.